Hello, 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 everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Stacey Thomas Unrestricted Unlimited Talk Show. For the new viewers, I always like to explain if you don't know what unrestricted unlimited means, it simply means for myself and my guests, I have found out that we have yet to see all that God has for us. And all I know is, and I'll tell you the same thing, let's be thankful, look forward to our blessings. I tonight have like this awesome man that I have been following for years. There are times that I miss his posts, but it seems like every time he puts something on to share his blessings or let people know how he's being blessed, it comes in my news feed. It's like, make sure you see what Cyrus Webb is doing. So I bring to you tonight a very special guest, and I urge you to listen carefully and check him out even after the show. Cyrus Webb. Hello.
Hello, Stacey. Thank you so much for having me. And congratulations to you on how you're using your platform.
Cyrus, thank you. You know, I always tell the people that for some reason, I guess a year or two ago, I would have been leery of like touching base and saying, Cyrus, would you come on the show? There's been some others, and it's like, for some reason, God is just blessing me with awesome guests. So thank you. Okay.
Oh, my pleasure.
There's so much to you, Cyrus. There's so much. When I started following you, you were making things happen then. But what really got me is, and I'm not talking about a southern state. I'm in the South. I'm not as deep as you. But a lot of times when people come out and they do great things, people think they're going to come from the big city. They're going to come from where there are a lot of big time influences, right? That you got to be around. And I don't know who you've been around, but you've got to be around a lot of people that are making things happen. And then I saw you, Mississippi. Mississippi. Now, I've never been there. I hear great things. I want some of that food. But Mississippi is not the first thing that someone said. When people say they want to go make it big, become a talk show host, be in radio, be on TV, they say New York City.
Yeah.
Now they're saying New York City, Hollywood, Texas, Atlanta, but nobody's saying Mississippi yet. So I want to like touch base at the beginning. Cyrus, did you grow up in a big city in Mississippi?
No, I didn't. I did not grow up, but I grew up. I grew up actually where I live, where I still have my home, Stacey, in the country. I live about 20 miles outside of the city. Probably I hear more crickets than I hear cars.
Okay.
But no, I actually grew up outside of the city, which I think actually has helped me to stay me, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because I was always comfortable where I was. I didn't feel like I needed to be anywhere else. So it's so funny hearing you say what you just said, because people used to say, you know, when they ask me where I'm from and I tell them, they're like, really? Mississippi? I mean, the exact same. But you know what? That's a good thing. And it's a good thing because just like you and me, we're showing people that it's not about where you're from. It's not about really who you know, even though sometimes that can be a benefit. It really is who you are. Because if you're walking in who you were created to be, God can make you shine anywhere. Look at what he did in Galilee. You know, so it's like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, so I have always worn that as a badge of honor, being from Mississippi, because it really shows that just like the scripture says, he uses the humble, you know, to be able to be exalted if we allow ourselves to be. And I just try to stay in that flow so that I can be exalted.
You didn't tell me I was going to get blessed like this, Cyrus. Okay. Excuse me. And that was going to be one of my questions. When you were growing up, Cyrus, did you know what you wanted to be or who you wanted to be? Did you have any idea?
You know, Stacey, it's good we're having this conversation this month, because this is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. And if you've been following my story, you know, I'm a suicide attempt survivor. And I share my story because I want people to understand something. Just like people of color aren't monolithic, people who have thought about suicide, attempted suicide are not the same. I didn't attempt suicide because of abuse, neglect, or any of that. I attempted suicide because I didn't think I could live up to what other people saw in me. And the irony of ironies is I became exactly who they saw me becoming. And so I helped. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're about to make me cry, and then now you're making me laugh. You thought you couldn't live up to who they wanted you to be, and you became who they wanted you to be, and you're doing great things. Look
Yeah.
at God.
Yeah. And it was an odd thing. I mean, I psychologically have never been a arrogant person. I never thought I did well in school, but never thought I was so smart. I tell people I'm a stocky little country boy with four eyes, crooked teeth.
You're
I
you're
grew up with
cute.
look.
I'm not flirting with you, but you're a cutie. But go
Well,
ahead.
thank you, thank you. I grew up with a speech impediment. A lot of people don't even realize that. So you have to think. Growing up, I had these negatives that I saw, and people would tell me, "Oh, Cyrus, you're going to do great things. You're going to do this. I see you doing this," and I was afraid of disappointing them. That's why I
Cyrus,
attempted suicide. Yeah, that's the truth. And it wasn't until the suicide attempt when I was 20 years old, the last time, because I tried more than once. It wasn't until the last time I found myself in the hospital. I thought to myself, what am I doing? Evidently, I'm here for something. And then it began for me in figuring out what that something was. Now, let me tell you how God works things out, Stacey. I was 20 years old when I last attempted suicide. It was 4 years later. I was sharing this story like I'm sharing now. A man walks up to me, Charles Evers, the brother of Medgar Evers, who owns a radio station in Mississippi. He said to me, "Have you ever thought about doing radio? You have such a nice voice." And I said, "No, I've never thought about doing radio." He says, "I think you'd be good at it." And that began the journey that I've been on now for 17 years.
his brother.
Yeah, Medgar Evers' brother, Charles Evers, who just died this year. That he just died this year. He heard me speaking, sharing my story at an event. And in 2003, that's when what is now Conversations Live began.
So, so was it him alone that made you say, this is what I'm going to do? Or was it something in you also that was forces were joining and you were getting confirmation?
Yeah, forces were joining because and that's the thing about, I tell people about alignment, right? Because it's so funny in school, only thing I liked to do was write and draw.
Okay.
And I would tell people, I want to be an author. And people in school would be like, wow, okay. They never told me I couldn't do it. That's the funny thing. On my Facebook page now,
When there's it me. I hope he's still talking. He's frozen up. Let's see. He's going to come back. We're going to get that message. He's going to come back. Let me see if that brings him back. It's Cyrus Webb, in case you just popped on. We're going to wait for him to come back. I'll tell you a little bit about him until he comes back. He's a radio and television personality person, editor-in-chief of Conversations Magazine and Mississippi Success Magazine. He's also an author. He's a social media influencer, and for those that follow me, might be really interested in linking up with him, hooking up with him, because he's a top 300 Amazon.com reviewer. So you need to learn more about that. You back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened.
That's okay. That's okay. But can you take us back to when you said you were telling younger people that you were going to be an author when you were growing up?
Yeah, and no one ever told me I couldn't do it. That's the funny thing, even in school. And ironically, here I am now at 45, and I make my living writing and drawing and talking. So when you ask that question, it really was about me accepting the calling. It kind of reminds me of Jonah in a sense, of how Jonah ran from what he was supposed to do, but ended up having to go back and do it anyway. It was like I was hearing these things people today. When I look back on it, it was fear. It was fear but it was fear of being called a failure, fear of being called this or that, or who do you think you are? It wasn't that I wasn't given the ability. I had done that part. It was about me using the ability. That was the work. And once I realized that, things have been going ever since.
Your story is unique. It's different because most of the time when people talk about who they say they want to be when they grow up, and I don't put things, Cyrus, I'm not one of those people that want to say what African Americans are like, what Caucasians like. I look at us as people.
Right.
But a lot of times I've found that when you're not in a circle where others are doing it, they don't understand your dream, so they will knock your dream. And it sounds like what you've gone through. I mean, it was right there. It was right there from the beginning, even in your childhood. You can do this, so the average person would not think that you tried to commit suicide a couple times.
I know. When people hear that part of the story, that is always surprised. My family, even though because the last time I wasn't living here, I was living in New York at the time. But when my family, you know how you think things, but you don't want to believe things? I think it was that type of a situation. But I think that's why I share the story, because I want people to know there are different reasons why. And that's why I think also, Stacey, where my empathy in the work I do now with radio and TV comes from. Because when people talk about being in a dark place, I know what that feels like. When someone talks about feeling unworthy, I know what that feels like. So I can empathize with that. And I'll tell you another thing it's done for me is stop me from judging people. Because we really don't know. We hear all the time, you don't know what other people are going through. Nobody knew what I was going through. And yet I think about if I had been successful now 25 years ago, none of what I've achieved would have ever happened. I wouldn't have met you.
Wow. It's something people are so quick to say. And I was like this at one time. Why am I going through this? Why am I going through that? And then later in life, you realize you can't bless somebody else or touch somebody else unless you have something to say most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to listen to the person that only thing they know about such and such is in school. I want to listen to the person that's been through it and has an idea of why I'm going through it or what I can do to help myself.
Right.
So for people that are watching, because I'm sure they're surprised, because had I known, I'm not going to lie, that you had attempted suicide a couple times, I would have made it a point to say, be sure to look at him if you're thinking about this, with your permission, of course. But somebody's watching, Cyrus. What would you say if somebody's at home and they're thinking about doing it? What would you say?
I think the biggest thing is to realize, and it's something that seems so simple, but honestly, Stacey, it has been life-changing for me, is that every day that you are here, and I see it sometimes on my morning messages, every day that you're here is an opportunity for you to change things. And it doesn't mean things are going to be perfect. You know, my life's not perfect, but every day, I look at every day as going to class. That's really what I look at it. And there's some days in class you're going to be better, more on your game than other days. And even when things are coming at you that are unexpected, I look at things as lessons, but I also look at things as opportunities that I can show other people what they can overcome. And I think that's it. To talk about it, find people you can talk to, which is another reason why I share my story, because I want people to know, hey, I have gone to schools and spoken, Stacey, and kids have come up to me afterwards and said 17, the age I was when I first tried, and say, you know what, I've thought about that too. And I think that's the thing. You need to give people permission to know it doesn't make them odd that they thought about this. You know, I mean, think about it. I mean, I guess one thing that I've always thought about, think about how it used to be for the Roman soldiers. They looked at that as an honor rather than being captured to kill themselves. Wow. You know, and so you think about it, I mean, because they thought that was better than being someone's slave, or to end up being, in a torture situation. Mm-hmm. And I want everyone to think that every day that you're here, that's the honor. It's not the honor in death. It's the honor in life. And that's what I try to share with people.
Wow. So you're stronger now.
Oh yeah.
As far as letting things discourage you.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I realize that things are never as bad as we think. And a lot of times our mindset makes things a lot worse. And that's why I'm very careful, Stacey, with who I talk to, who I let in my circle, what I watch, what I listen to, what I tolerate online and offline, because all of that will make you think the world is lost. You know, you surround yourself with negative people, you'll start thinking everything's negative. You know,
That's
you're
right.
watching all this stuff all the time that's all about it's us versus them. You'll end up thinking that's the way it has to be. And what
That's
I
right.
have learned is, you know what? I inform myself, but then I realize I have a responsibility. I am one person. And if we
Okay.
all look at each other like that, we'll be better off collectively.
You're one person.
Yeah.
So you're not, and you said that, and you don't judge.
Yeah, I have definitely, that's one thing that has, and that has come from experience too, because, I think, and you probably have experienced this too, Stacey, you look at certain things and you say, well, you know what, I'll never end up in that situation. But then I think about Peter. and, Peter and Peter told Jesus, oh, if they deny, oh, I'll never. Oh, no, I'll never do that. And after looking at that, I thought, you know what, who do I think I am? To say what I'm not going to do. So I don't, when I see situations, I try to understand them. But as far as casting judgment, no, I don't do that. Because
Yeah,
for one thing, I don't want people judging me for what they perceive
that's right.
about what they see. So why would I
That's,
want to do that to somebody else?
that's right. I find myself when I'm about to maybe say something or somebody with me speaks
Mm,
about somebody else.
yeah.
I know my family say, "There Stacey go again," but at the same time, maybe the person that accidentally pulled out in front of you wasn't doing it to be mean.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going through something. So
Yes.
don't be so quick to throw up the finger. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
You
Right.
never know.
Yeah. And my
So,
mom will tell you, Stacey, and I'll make sure she watches this. I get on her about that a lot because I think as parents in particular, they think they know everything, right? Even when it comes to national security, they know what should be happening. you know. And my mom is very quick to, and I was like, Mom, but you don't know. Yeah, but such and such and such. I'm like, but Mom, but you don't know the whole situation. And that's why I'm very careful about that because you never want to put yourself in a position where when the shoe is on the other foot, people misjudge what you do. And then
exactly,
that becomes their perception based on what may have been just a moment where you lost it,
exactly,
or had a bad experience.
exactly. You're giving us good conversation. Tell people now, let's not wait till later. How
Okay.
do they listen to you?
Really easy. CyrusWebb.com is the website. I appreciate you putting it down there. Cyruswebb.com/radio is where they can find me on the radio. I try to keep it very simple. I normally post everything on social media as well. So I try to, and I really try to use social media to be social. If you notice, Stacey, I literally comment on everybody's comment back because
That
I
surprises
appreciate.
me.
Yeah, and that's really me. I mean, because I want them to know I appreciate them. Even someone just saying congratulations, I'm going to be there saying thank you or I appreciate that. And if I know they're doing something, I'll say congratulations to you too on such and such. Because I think that's the thing. I think people need to know that one of my favorite movies is Avatar,
Mm-hmm.
and when they said I see you, I want people to
Uh-huh.
know I see you too. I don't want you just seeing me. I want you to know I see you. And so I think just that little bit telling someone congratulations back can be just the motivation they need to keep doing what they're doing.
That's interesting because Cyrus, when I first started following you, right? And I don't see everything, and I tell people, if I don't
Mhm.
see you, if I don't like something, it doesn't mean I'm not wishing you the best. We get
Right,
busy. But I
right.
would always, like I said earlier, man, when I do see you, Cyrus, it's good news. It's good news. And I'm telling you, congratulations. But yes, when you hit the like or you say something, Cyrus, it did
Mhm.
surprise me in the beginning because
Mhm.
I didn't think you were snobby, obviously, by the way you speak to people, but I just said, that man is busy.
Mhm.
So it's great to see how you interact with people.
Yeah,
So,
and I get that from my grandmother. I have to give her credit. I lost her 6 years ago, but She is the man I am today at 45 is because of what she instilled in me. And my mother too, but I grew up primarily with my grandmother. And even the year that she died, that's the year my first book came out in 2014. And it was a bittersweet year for me because she died 3 months before Pub Day. And so it was one of those things where, you know, that it would not have happened without her guidance, without her chastisement, because she saw a glimpse of what is happening now, because things have really taken off over the past 5 years. But she would tell me then, Cyrus, that's great, but don't get the big head. Cyrus, that's great, but don't forget where you came from. And I think about that every day, Stacey. When something happens, I'm appreciative, but I'm also mindful that it's not me, it's the gift that I was given. I'm just doing my part in using the gift. And if you don't mind, I'd like to say something else, Stacey. I believe all of us are gifted. I really believe that. I think we're gifted in different ways. I'm no Tavis Smiley. I'm no Michael Basin. They are them. I'm no Oprah Winfrey. I am me. And I think the problem what concerns me sometimes is we are so busy trying to be the next X, Y, or Z instead of just being the us that we were created to be. Because that's what the world needs. The world doesn't need another Oprah. The world needs Stacey. The world needs Cyrus. Because we are people that can touch people that Oprah's not touching, right? As much as I respect Tyler Perry is not going to be able to touch people the way that we can touch people one-on-one. And so I think that's the thing we get lost in. That's why I don't get too caught up on, of course, because I run a business, I have to know who I'm reaching and all of that stuff. But I don't gauge my success by the numbers. I gauge my success on the impact. And when I get a message from someone that tells me how something I said resonated with them or how a show touched them, that to me is what success is for me.
Wow. So it's been 17 years, Cyrus?
17 years for the radio. It's been 14 years for the magazine, 14 years for our book club. Our book club turns 14 next month, actually in October. All my kids are growing up. My oldest is 17, then I have these two 14-year-olds. So it's really funny. I mean, but I will say this about it. My story is so unlikely, Stacey. I mean, think about it. I'm from Mississippi, no college education, no broadcast experience, no college.
Cyrus, you don't have a master's in journalism?
I've never stepped foot. I've spoken at colleges, but I've never attended the college. I tell people I've spoken at Jackson State, I've spoken at Delta State, but I've never attended a class. Stacey, I probably couldn't get in.
No.
They'd have to give me an honorary something because I probably couldn't. But no college experience, and no broadcasting, no trade school. And to think of what I've been able to do and the lives I've been able to impact, how can that be anything else but God? I mean, seriously, how can I take credit for that? I mean, it makes no sense from a logical standpoint, right? But that is what keeps me inspired.
Anywhere. Okay. This is good, Cyrus. I love you're motivating and inspiring not just the viewers, but me. Anywhere in there, Cyrus.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere in there, have you ever been afraid, or had you, because of what you've gone through, when you decided to start, there was no stopping you?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So I'm going to tell you something that really is weird to show you how weird I am. I have faced fear, especially on the past 3 years, but not the fear you would expect. Success scares me. I've never been afraid of failure because I'm a suicide attempt survivor. So it's like anything, look, whatever happens. I feel like as long as I'm here, I'm good. But I have had what others may have perceived as failures along the way. I look at everything as a lesson, honestly. But I will say that success has been the scariest thing for me because,
Yeah.
for one, I've seen what it's done to people, and I never want it to change because of a number in my bank account or having this person in my Rolodex. I never want it to become defined by where I'm able to travel and, and what city I'm in. And so that has been the scariest thing. And I've honestly held myself back from opportunities. I've shared more this past couple of years. I have turned down some pretty lucrative opportunities because it scared me. And yeah. And so it was like, you know what? If I do that, what's going to happen? Are people going to look at me the same? Am I going to be the same person? But what I have had to learn is that I've been given a gift. And let me tell you the other thing, if you don't mind me saying this, Stacey.
Go ahead.
One thing I realized last year is how hypocritical I was being. And I want to tell you what I meant by that. I was faced with a situation that came up with Noom, the company Noom, and they offered me a ridiculous amount of money to promote their product on my website and through our magazine. And I turned it down. And I turned it down because I thought, you know what? No, I'm not taking that money just because they're offering this and this and this. And then I thought about, wait a minute. If I say that with God, all things is possible, how am I saying I serve a God that can do anything and that can take me anywhere? And I'm turning down the blessings he's putting in my way.
Woo.
And it was like that. It took that. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was like, wait a minute. How can you say with God all things is possible and you turn down the possibilities?
Wow.
And so now it's like I still don't say yes to everything, but my mindset has changed as to why I say no. If I say no today, it's because, one, it doesn't fit my brand, and it doesn't fit who I am as an individual, because I never want money to define, what I say, or what I do. It has to be genuine for me, right? I mean, I don't want to be promoting something that is not real for Cyrus. I have had opportunities. People have sent me, said, hey, we'd like you to do this or that, especially with the Amazon partnerships. I was like, no, that's not really me. I'm not planning on getting on a motorcycle this year, so I don't need that. Or, I'm not going skiing, so no, I don't need a sled. But other people be like, yeah, give it to me. But I'm like, no, that's it has to fit my aesthetic. So that's what I tell people. You cannot say that you serve and believe in an almighty God who can do anything and say it like Philippians says, that all things are possible, and then you turn down the possibilities. You can't do it. And that's what I'm like, you know what? I'm being hypocritical here because I'm saying, yeah, God can pour out these blessings, but no, I'm not going to take that blessing because of, so I've had to learn a balance there.
This message was for me, Cyrus, because it's something how you want something like, God can do anything, like you said.
Yeah.
I have been guilty of saying, you know what? I just want to be in one place, write my books. I don't have to be a big star, just make enough to live. I don't have to be invited to parties. I don't have to go out and mingle, blah, blah, blah. But if God gave you something and it's meant for you to bless somebody else with it, it's almost like, who are we to sit there and turn down blessings when they're right in front of us?
Yeah. And can I say one other thing, Stacey, that I also realized, and this was a big eye opener for me, and I hope the audience gets this. What I have now understood better in the past 2 years is that our blessings are not always for us. They're so we can be able to, one, show other people what is possible, and two, help someone else. I think about Joseph. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, put in a position of power. Not just, he ended up saving a nation. Think about that. Now imagine if he had not taken that opportunity. If he had said, no, Pharaoh, I'm not going to take that position. I don't need that position. But that position was not just for Joseph. It was putting him in a place where he could save not only his family, but the nation. And when I started thinking about things that way, I was like, wait a minute. Exactly what you just said, Stacey. I can now hire this. I don't have to do this. I can hire someone to do that. I don't have to do this. I can hire someone to do that. I don't have to worry about doing that. I'll have somebody do that, because now I have a few more dollars. So and that's the thing. I had to learn that. I had to learn that very lesson, that because I'm like, oh no, I live in Mississippi. My monthly bills are this amount. As long as I make that, I'm good. But where's the blessing in that? How am I going to bless someone else with just enough? You have to have that. Even if you're just talking about from a business standpoint, right? You have to make more than it takes for you to break even in order to sustain your business.
That's right.
And so that has been a big thing for me the past 2 years. I've really had to embrace that.
Yeah, sometimes, like you said, I've used the thing that said, sometimes I used to wonder, and I'm not going to talk you to death, but I used to say, why am I meeting this person? Why am I meeting that person? We have nothing in common, blah, blah, blah. And then it hit me one day. Maybe you're supposed to be a bridge. Your job is to only connect that person with somebody else. It may just not be your time right now.
Exactly.
People don't get it.
Yeah. And I think one thing I've learned that I'm so glad, again, my grandmother instilled in me, your success, Stacey, does not scare me. Someone else being, this whole thing about only one person can be this, or only one person. No, like I mentioned, those other names, Tavis and Michael, we all have our niche. We all have our audience. There's enough for everybody. We're on the World Wide Web. We're not going to touch everybody, right? And so I have always believed firmly, what is meant for me will come to me. I don't have to keep you from getting your blessing for me to still be blessed. And I've never been afraid of anyone else's success, because their success is their success. And I'm not them. And they're not me. And so that's why I can celebrate other people, because, I'm glad, because they're showing other people what's possible. Just like I'm trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. You've, on your show, Cyrus, you've had some awesome people. Nora Roberts.
Yeah.
Nora Roberts. I said, look at Cyrus.
Yeah.
I love her.
It has been, then Jackie Collins, before she died, had her own several times.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah. Lisa Gibbons. It has been, I've had such a tremendous, Isaiah Washington is now someone I call a friend. Think about watching him on Grey's Anatomy, right? And now, to be able to have his number in my phone, it is, but again, it is because of, for one thing, my passion for what I do, Stacey, but also just like, it's doing the work. It's the result of doing the work. Wow. We do the work. And that's why we're able to get, now, if you had told me, just like I posted yesterday, when I got the email from Jamie Foxx's publicist, wanting me to interview, he has a new artist that he's getting ready to introduce, and they heard about my show from another friend of his. And they booked him for my show for this week. That's the thing. It's the work. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. So every day I'm amazed. I don't take any of it for granted. Because again, I go back to, if I had had my way 25 years ago, I wouldn't have been here anymore. So I take, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are you gonna stay in Mississippi?
Mississippi is my home.
Okay.
Mississippi. Okay. I do have an office in Los Angeles now, because I do so much now in Los Angeles. Okay. But Mississippi, I think, will always be home.
You're going to really, well, you probably already, because you were in a newspaper article, I saw you post, you're probably already inspiring a lot of young people in your area, aren't you?
I try to, but let me tell you one of the crazy things about me. I don't talk about what I do here. And that's why it's funny because people will see me at a store and they'll say, I saw you in the paper. You do so, because I don't because I guess I've gotten so used to it. It's like I don't feel like I need to just go around talking about it. I live my life and I do what I do. And sometimes things will be shared and people will be like, oh my goodness, I didn't know you were the person who did that. I had a funny experience at the grocery store. Shout out to Ramey's grocery store in Brandon. And I go in that grocery store once a week from my mom every Friday. I do what I call my regular people duties. And
Okay.
I was in the paper, in the weekly paper that this particular Wednesday in the Rankin County News. And this lady who I talked to all the time, I never told her I wrote a book, never told her I interviewed people or whatever. She saw the article on me in the paper because it had my picture. And she says, why didn't you tell me you were somebody? And I thought that was the oddest thing. And I said to her, I said, we're all somebody. I said, I just happen to have a public job, but I'm no different, And she said, but you're always so nice. And I'm like, well, that's just who I am. I mean, this is just me, But and that's one of the reasons why I'm measured in what I share, even with family. A lot of my family don't know the people I've interviewed because I don't talk about it when because I'm more interested in other people's stories. Mm-hmm. That's just part of my thing. So I don't go around and say, oh, guess who I interviewed today? Or guess who, because it's like, I want to hear about their kids. I want to hear about what's happening in their world, and that kind of thing. I think there's a place for it all. But yeah, I do try to inspire people, but I also let them know whatever their achievements are just as important as my achievements.
You need to get a shirt. I am somebody.
Yeah, I love it. That's right.
Now,
that's right.
How you're an author. Mm-hmm. How many published works do you have, and what genre?
Yeah. So my 18th book is coming out this month, right? So
18 Cyrus?
Yeah, I've done 18 in the past 6 years. So yeah, my first one came out 6 years ago. And that was Words I Choose to Live By. It was inspiration.
6 years, 18 books.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Okay, yeah. So that was my first one. And then after that, I published Words They Choose to Live By, where I published some of the celebrity interviews and inspirational thoughts that they had shared. Okay. And then after that, the strangest thing happened. People started hiring me to co-write books with them to share their stories. Okay. So they would say, Cyrus, I have this idea, but I don't know where to get started. I want to talk about this and that. So I would write the story for them. Okay, so I've done right now, I've done 10 children's books that talk about motivation, inspiration, dealing with death, dealing with sickness, embracing your own inner greatness. We've talked about, when you fall down, get back up. But I've also had the privilege of co-writing some autobiographies from some amazing people, like celebrity photographer Anthony Tillman in Washington, D.C., international recording artist Sherry Marie. I actually co-wrote her book, Wealthy Woman Stew. And so it's been such an amazing thing. This month, I have 2 other clients that I'm co-writing their autobiographies that are coming out, as well as my new book that's coming out, Words I Choose to Live By, Volume 2. So yeah, it's been... I would say it all is inspirational, even with the children's books, that's kind of been my theme for all of them. But yeah, it's great to have been able to do something for different ages.
Are you going to be on 60 Minutes one day? Are you going to be hosting 60 Minutes?
You know what?
Are you keeping that to yourself?
Look, now here's the question. As a guest or a host?
Both. Okay, both. So I want to say everything that you do. Social media influencer and top 300 Amazon.com reviewer. Yeah. Please forgive my ignorance because I know you've spoke on this. You've actually been on your page telling people how they can become a reviewer.
Yeah.
Are they the same thing, or tell us the difference?
Sure. Well, my ignorance has been one of my biggest blessings, Because
Okay.
again, you have to remember, you're talking to an uneducated guy from Mississippi.
No. You're
So,
educated, just not by regular standards.
right,
You know
right.
what I'm
So
saying?
in 2010, I'm a very loyal individual. I'll say
Okay.
that. Sometimes to a fault, I
Okay.
admit, but I had a bad experience with a site that is a fruit name, and I was trying to do reviews on music that I was buying from this site. I had
Okay.
a bad experience with the site, so that led me in 2010 to Amazon. And again, you have to remember, and this is why I say it's a God thing. Me not knowing what I didn't know was the best thing that could have happened. I wrote my first review on Amazon in 2010. Didn't know there was a ranking system. Didn't know that the companies who sold things on Amazon looked at the reviews. Didn't know that they
Okay.
hired people who reviews they liked to work with them to promote their products. I didn't know any of that in 2010. I just wanted to share the book I read, or the music I was listening to, or the movie I watched. Don't that. And so that was in 2010. In 2014, I got an email 4 years later, 4 years in. So again, it was a process from this company saying, "Hey, we saw your review you posted of this product. We'd like to send you this product to see what you think about it." And I was
Okay.
like, "For free?" They were like, "Yeah." And all you want me to do is just write a review? And they were like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." And it kept going. And it started off with, "We want to send you a pair of socks." Then it became, "We want to send you a new tripod." Then it became, "We want to send you a new phone. Can we see your dining room set? We'd like to send you a new dining room set.
No.
Can we see your bedroom? We'd like to send you a new bed set. Let me see your sofa set. I tell you what, we have this company. How about they send you a sofa set? And then if you review it and people respond to it, they'll say, "Hey, we'll pay you $500 to do a 5-minute video just showing what you like about the sofa set."
Something's in that water in Mississippi. I think I want to move there.
And that is honestly how it started. That is the honest truth. I knew nothing about nothing. I didn't even know there was a ranking system, because I was like, "How do people find me?" you know, I'm in
Cyrus.
Mississippi. I mean, seriously. And let me tell you how crazy this was, Stacey. I didn't start traveling until 2015. This was 5 years before I was even getting on an airplane. So they were finding me literally when I'm sitting here in the country in the woods in Mississippi, based on reviews that I was writing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cyrus.
that's how it began. Yeah.
And you've grown and grown, and you're still growing. You're going to grow more. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who do you review? Like, are you reviewing authors or just products? What do you?
I review everything. I mean, I review like today, and this is the thing. This is why I share with people, and this is why I always say, like I said, even on here, my success is my success. You
That's
can't
right.
take that away from me.
That's right.
But that doesn't mean you can't have your own, which is why I share the tips. Now, I can't make you do it. I can't sit you down on your computer and say, "You need to review this book. You read this book, review this book." You bought this candle, review that candle.
Right.
I mean, but let me tell you how nerdy I am, though. And this is expanded beyond Amazon, because now I'm also a top Google reviewer as well. And so, again, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm one of those crazy people, Stacey. When I get a 2-piece from Popeyes, and on the back of it, it says, "If you take this survey, we'll give you a." I'm taking this survey because I want my thigh and the biscuit. That is, I'm not even lying to you. My mom will tell you, when I go anywhere, I'm looking on the back, see if there's a survey or something to take. I'm that guy. Yeah, because you never know where that's going to lead. And
You're gonna
it's
have me look
because
at
of doing that. Let me tell you the story. It's because of doing that I got contacted by Google that said, hey, when you go to Los Angeles, we want to send you certificates to eat at this restaurant. And we just want you to take a couple of pictures and tell us what you think about the restaurant.
Are you still turning people down, or what did you do?
Okay, so this is what happens. I do a lot of it because it's now expanded to the hotels I stay at. Most of the time I don't pay for my hotels. The hotels will reach out and say, hey, you're coming to this city. All we want you to do is do a review on Google. Take pictures, do a video, do a walkthrough. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, again, you don't know what you don't know. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know Red Lobster reaches out to you and says, hey, how would you like to come in and try our new such and such? Or Dunkin' Donuts says, hey, we're introducing a new product. Would you mind coming in and doing a little video? We'll provide this for you and do this for you. Wow. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, but again, I made myself available, not even knowing. It wasn't like my first words was, how much you go pay me? Because one thing I've learned is that money is the least of the rewards you get.
That's right. And it did.
Because I'm building influence. Mm-hmm. I'm building an awareness with national brands. Mm-hmm. And that is leading to paid opportunities. And what I try to tell people is, you can do it too. I mean, I'm not special. You can do it too. You can go to a restaurant, go on Google, write a review of that restaurant, and 9 times out of 10, that restaurant's going to say, thank you so much. Let us know when you're coming back in town. Or thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your experience. We'd like to give you a certificate for the next time you're in.
Wow. I know that day you were on Facebook and I saw the video pop up and you were telling people about how to become a reviewer.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone, I think that we're supposed to bless others, but I am surprised sometimes to see when somebody else is giving so much. You didn't give a little nugget or two. You actually told what people could do.
Right. Because again, Stacey, them becoming successful, again, it's not gonna hurt me. And that's what I'm so comfortable in my own skin in that regard, that even if they become a top reviewer, that doesn't stop me from being a top reviewer.
That's right.
We're just 2 top reviewers. Because it's just like me. Currently, at the time we're having this conversation, I think I'm now number 213 in the country. Now, ooh, that's a big accomplishment.
Yes.
Because that's out of the top 10,000 in the country. I'm number 213 as of today. But wow. I wish I was number 1. Because I'm doing just fine at number 213. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not in any way begrudging number 1. Wow. I'm not begrudging number 212. I mean, and that's the thing. Yeah, I'm 213, and I'm okay with being 213.
Cyrus, you're something else. You're something else. In a good way. I mean, I guess that's one of the reasons. Something's flying around. That's one of the reasons that you're attracting people to your Facebook page, while you're attracting people, making them want to listen to you and watch what you're doing and sit back and be happy and smile, smile at what you're doing. Cyrus, and all the people that you've interviewed, who were you the most nervous to interview when you started not putting the neighbors down or the people at the school, but when you really saw yourself growing? Who were you the most nervous with?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I have to be honest with you, Stacey. You may not believe this. I get nervous with everybody. And that's being real. Whether I'm talking to a local author, a business person, or a New York Times bestseller or an A-list, because let me tell you why. Because I understand the responsibility of the platform. And I know that regardless of who I'm talking to, I want to make that person feel like you've made me feel very comfortable here. I want to make that person feel comfortable. Okay. And like you said to me before, one of the things Stacey said was, hey, we're not going to get all up in your business. We're not doing all of that. I let them know you're in my house and I'm going to respect you in my house,
Okay.
regardless of who you are. Because
That's
again, what did you say? We're all somebody.
That's
So
right.
honestly, I get just as nervous with when we interviewing a local business owner as I do interviewing Lisa Gibbons. And that's the honest
Really,
truth. Now,
really.
I do feel a certain amount of pressure sometimes, especially if a guest has been in the news for something not so good. And
Okay.
sometimes I feel like a certain responsibility to say to them ahead of time, look, we're going to have to address whatever it is, and I've had a few of those situations, but that's not going to be the whole conversation. We don't have to spend the whole conversation. A perfect example, if you don't mind me telling the Isaiah Washington
No, go
story.
ahead. Okay,
When
go ahead.
I first interviewed Isaiah Washington, I was so afraid he thought I was going to want to spend all the time talking about the scandal about him having to leave Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
And I
Uh-huh.
said to him, but when we first start, before we even went on the air, I said, Isaiah, I'm not bringing up Grey's Anatomy. If you bring up Grey's Anatomy, I'll follow your lead. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Shonda Rhimes because he was promoting his movie at the time where he was playing the DC sniper.
Okay.
So I wasn't. I mean, so it didn't really fit, in my opinion, unless he just wanted to bring it up. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what he did? He brought
You
it
brought
up
it up. And
because,
you
and
asked
he
him.
said in the interview, is because I didn't lead with it, because I didn't make it a story. He felt
Wow.
comfortable in talking about it. And that makes me feel good. So that's always my thing. I get nervous, honestly, with everybody. I do every day, 6 days a week. I do interviews 6 days a week. Monday through Friday, I do 4 interviews a day, and I get nervous with each and every one, no matter who
Really?
it is. I do. I get nervous with each and every interview. I was nervous with this interview with you.
Look at me throwing my hands up. You know, one thing I would have thought you would pick this up. If anything, stuck-up person or a bougie person or a person with demon-like tendencies, they're not going to want to come on my show because
Hmm.
I don't want you to be nervous. Like you said, you're
Yeah.
in my house. I'm going to treat you the way I would want to be treated, Cyrus. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You have surprised me even more. But
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud
And I'm
of you.
proud of you too. Yeah.
And I'm not looking at you like some people would say, wow, an African American man, look at what he's doing. I'm proud of you in that sense, Cyrus, but I'm also proud of you of just being a man
Yeah.
and being who you are.
Yeah.
I want you to know that. I'm not rooting for you because Cyrus is African American.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, but I'm rooting for the man. And
Thank
I
you.
want you keep on doing what you're doing. And I'm going to use this time because Cyrus, I probably would talk to you as long as you wanted to talk. What didn't I touch on, or what is it that needs to be said? And then let us know again how to follow you and what information we need.
Well, let me say this. I did not, I told you from the very beginning, and I'll share with them. I told you I was here for you
Thank you.
because I respect what you do. I respect your platform. I respect you.
Thank you.
And I had made this time for you. And my
It
thing is,
surprised me
one thing I have always believed, Stacey, is that we make time for what we want to make time for.
when you
When
said
people
yes. It surprised me.
really,
Yes, but go ahead. I'm sorry. It surprised me. I
yeah,
was very thankful.
yeah. Well, I really believe. I think we all are busy. So me saying, "Oh, I'm too busy" to whatever. We all are busy. So that would have been an excuse. I'm a firm believer that we make time for what we want to make time for. And I have made some very strategic decisions in my life over the past 17 years that have helped me get here where I am today. And I know doing things like this, being able to share my story, to share with people again what's possible. I think I take every opportunity I'm provided. And I have to be honest with you, though, I don't do a lot of interviews, as you probably know. I do less than 15 interviews a year, probably.
Why? Wow.
Well, because honestly, I don't think my story's that interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. It's very
I
interesting.
really, I promise you, and that I'm not trying to throw it, in false humility. I'm being totally serious. I really, because again, I see myself as this country boy from Mississippi who happens to be walking in his God-given purpose each and every day. But honestly, I believe anybody can do that. Now, there are different degrees to how we do that. I understand that now better because I used to say, Stacey, one thing I was corrected on. I used to say, oh, everyone can do what I was doing. And someone called me out on that and said, Cyrus, no, they can't. And I was like, what do you mean? Of course you can. But then they explained to me, no, everyone's degree is different. It's like the parable of the talents, right? Not everyone was given the same talent. It was based on their ability.
That's right.
And so I have realized that if I've been given this, what I have been given, where I am at 45 years old, it's up to me to make the most of that according to my ability. So that's why opportunities like this mean so much to me. So again, thank you for the invitation because it means a lot that I can encourage people to remind them of what's possible, to remind them that they are somebody. And the only thing I would say is, just keep an eye on the journey. I have some exciting things coming up through Amazon over the next 3 months that are going to really push me in a different direction. And it's all of it is scary to me. I tell you, success is still scary to me, but I'm excited about it. So cyruswebb.com is definitely the best place. Communicate with me on social media, Cyrus Webb on Facebook and Twitter. It's Cyrus Webb Presents on Instagram. I respond to everybody. So feel free. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I'm going to follow you back. I've reached my limit, I think, on Facebook, but still follow me. You can still follow me there. Would love to stay connected. And again, that's really, really it, Stacey. I really just appreciate you allowing me this opportunity.
Well, I appreciate you and I'm thankful. And if I should miss what you come out and tell about Amazon, if I should miss it, and I'm not on there quick enough to say congratulations, and you think it's something you want to come back on and talk about, hit me up, Cyrus. Just say, Stacey, I got something to talk about. Your books, especially when you said the different genres for the children. If you ever want to talk about those books, I'd love to have you back on the show. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you again for everything.
All right, superstar. Take care of yourself, and thank you.
You too. You too. Bye-bye. Congratulations again, Stacey. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. I always have fun. Sometimes more fun than others. Tonight, I had a ball. Very special man with a lot of positive words. I did not realize he would come on talking about what he does for others and why he does what he does. That was a powerful story. Until next time, if you want to check out more of my interviews, go to my YouTube channel, Stacey Thomas Unrestricted Unlimited Talk Show. And until next time, don't stress too much about yesterday or worry too much about tomorrow. You just might miss living today. Thank you.